Hey there, fellow soil enthusiasts. You know what drives me absolutely crazy? Watching people bag up their grass clippings every single week and haul them to the curb like they're getting rid of trash. I used to do the same thing until I realized I was literally throwing away liquid gold. Those grass clippings sitting in your yard right now represent one of the most potent, nitrogen-rich materials you could possibly add to your compost pile. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to transform this waste into the kind of black gold that'll make your garden absolutely explode with life. Let's talk chemistry for a second, but I promise to keep it practical. Grass clippings are what we call a green material in composting terms, and they're absolutely loaded with nitrogen. We're talking about a carbon to nitrogen ratio of around 20:1 when they're fresh, which is incredibly rich. This nitrogen is exactly what fuels the microbial activity in your compost pile, creating that beautiful heat that breaks everything down into finished compost in record time. But here's what makes grass clippings truly special. They're also about 80% water, which means they provide essential moisture to your compost pile while simultaneously delivering nutrients. Think of them as a superfood smoothie for your compost bin. The catch? You need to know how to use them properly, or you'll end up with a slimy, stinking mess that'll have your neighbors questioning your life choices. The golden rule: never compost grass clippings alone. This is where most beginners go wrong, and honestly, where I messed up for an entire summer when I first started composting. You cannot, and I mean absolutely cannot, just pile fresh grass clippings into your bin and expect magic to happen. What you'll get instead is a dense, matted, anaerobic nightmare that smells like something died in your backyard. Fresh grass clippings are so dense and moisture-rich that when you pile them together, they compress and squeeze out all the oxygen. Without oxygen, your beneficial aerobic bacteria die off, and anaerobic bacteria take over. These are the bad guys that create that rotten egg smell of hydrogen sulfide. Trust me, you'll know if this happens because your spouse, your neighbors, and possibly the mail carrier will all let you know about it. The solution is beautifully simple. You need to mix your grass clippings with brown materials at roughly a 1:2 or 1:3 ratio. By brown materials, I'm talking about dried leaves, shredded newspaper, cardboard, straw, wood chips, or even sawdust. These carbon-rich materials create air pockets in your compost pile, allowing oxygen to flow through and keeping those beneficial bacteria happy and working hard. Here's my tried-and-true method that I use every single week during growing season. When I mow my lawn, I immediately head to my compost bins with both my grass clippings and whatever brown material I have on hand. I spread a layer of grass clippings about 2 to 3 inches thick, then cover it with a 4 to 6 inch layer of brown material. Then I repeat this process until I've used up all my grass clippings. After layering, I give the pile a good turning with my pitchfork, really mixing those materials together. This isn't optional if you want fast results. The mixing ensures that the greens and browns are thoroughly integrated, creating maximum surface area for microbial activity. Within 24 to 48 hours, if you've done this correctly, your pile should be noticeably warm to the touch. That's when you know the magic is happening. The timing of when you add grass clippings to your compost matters more than most people realize. Fresh grass clippings are ideal because they're at their highest nitrogen content. However, if your clippings have been sitting in a pile for a few days and have started to brown, they're still valuable, but have lost some of that nitrogen punch. Don't sweat it though. They'll still work beautifully. Just mix them in as you normally would. Moisture management is equally critical. Your compost pile should feel like a wrung-out sponge. When you grab a handful and squeeze it, a few drops of water might appear, but it shouldn't stream out. Grass clippings add significant moisture, so if your pile starts feeling soggy, that's your cue to add more brown materials. I keep a garbage can full of dried leaves or shredded cardboard near my compost bins specifically for this purpose. It's like having a moisture absorption emergency kit ready to go. This is a question I get constantly on Grow with Soil, and honestly, it's a legitimate concern. If you've recently applied herbicides or pesticides to your lawn, you really need to be cautious. Most modern lawn herbicides break down relatively quickly, but some can actually persist in compost. and potentially harm sensitive plants when you use that finished compost later. My recommendation? Wait at least 3 to 4 weeks after applying any chemical treatments before composting your grass clippings. Better yet, consider reducing or even eliminating chemical applications altogether. A healthy lawn that's maintained with proper mowing height, adequate watering, and, leaving some of those grass clippings right on the lawn as natural fertilizer typically needs far fewer chemical interventions than most people think. Let's address the elephant in the room. That smell. If your compost pile smells like ammonia, you've got too much nitrogen relative to carbon. The fix is simple. Just add more brown materials and turn the pile to incorporate oxygen. If it smells rotten and sulfurous, you've got an anaerobic situation. Again, add browns, turn it thoroughly, and the problem will resolve within a few days. Sometimes people tell me their grass clippings form a thick mat in the compost bin that just won't break down. This happens when clippings weren't mixed properly with brown materials from the start. Break up that mat with a pitchfork, add generous amounts of browns throughout, and turn it well. It might seem like extra work, but I promise it's worth it when you see how quickly that mat transforms into beautiful compost. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The average lawn produces somewhere between 300 to 500 pounds of grass clippings per year. That's potentially 300 to 500 pounds of nitrogen-rich material that can be transformed into finished compost. If you were to buy commercial compost of equivalent quality, you'd be spending hundreds of dollars annually. Instead, you're creating it for free while simultaneously solving a waste disposal problem. Grass clippings typically break down in a well-maintained hot compost pile in about 3 to 4 weeks. In a slower, cold composting system, you're looking at 2 to 3 months. Either way, you're creating a continuous supply of nutrient-rich soil amendment that'll transform your garden beds, containers, and even your lawn itself into thriving ecosystems. Composting grass clippings isn't rocket science, but it does require understanding a few basic principles and applying them consistently. The beauty of this practice is that it gets easier every single time you do it. You'll develop an intuition for the right ratios. You'll learn to read your compost pile's moisture and temperature, and before you know it, you'll be the person in your neighborhood with the most incredible garden soil. If you found this guide helpful, do me a huge favor and subscribe to Grow with Soil. Share this with a fellow gardener who's still bagging their grass clippings. You might just change their gardening life forever. Drop a comment below and let me know what your biggest composting challenge has been. I read every single comment, and your questions often inspire my next videos. Now get out there and start turning that lawn treasure into garden gold.